programa. Tenemos esta tarde, decíamos, al señor Tim Flynn, alcalde de la ciudad de Oxnard. Mr. Tim, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Long time don't see you.
No, long time no see. We need to see each other in a shorter time period.
When was the last time you was here? 1 month, probably 2 months.
Probably about 2 months ago.
2 months.
I think. Yeah.
Many change during that time.
Well, I can say that the changes that have taken place in the city.
Muchos cambios. Le pregunto de muchos cambios en ese tiempo. Dice que hay muchas cosas que están cambiando. Go ahead.
Are probably more the determination by the city council to take the city, I think, in many ways in a different direction.
La determinación de llevar a la ciudad en diferentes direcciones. Okay.
And in particular, the city council just recently had a strategic summit.
Okay.
Where we discussed what exactly do we want to see in the next year happen.
Que tuvieron una junta para ver cómo querían proyectar la ciudad en el futuro corto.
And there were many suggestions by the council members. Each council member was able to focus on really one goal.
Muchas sugerencias de los miembros del concilio, cada uno de ellos se especificó en cierta meta. Okay.
And so we'll go ahead and start with Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez, Carmen Ramirez, and she wanted to focus on the natural and the coastal assets of Oxnard, and how can Oxnard be, in fact, even a better environmental steward.
Okay, la concejal Carmen Ramírez se enfocó a las cuestiones de proteger el medio ambiente y los recursos de la costa.
And make sure that such precious resources like Ormond Beach, which is a wetlands, and the other coastal resources, how can they be protected, and how can we take, whether it's tourism and all the things that affect the city, with those natural resources and those coastal resources, how can we really maximize their value?
Okay, bueno, lo que dijo la señora Ramírez es que trata de enfocarse en cómo mantener sus recursos, mantener el valor. Okay, was Ramírez. Who's next?
How about Councilman Brian McDonald?
McDonald, okay.
He talked about not public safety, but he talked about community safety, and
which is very important issue, I guess.
Yeah, and I think his emphasis, as I understand it correctly, is how can we get people in this city more involved in the common good and the common safety of all the residents.
Okay, cómo él se enfocó en la seguridad comunitaria y cómo se puede involucrar a la ciudadanía en los temas de seguridad.
And finally, Dorina Padilla, who is the last council
She's
member.
New, right?
Yeah, new councilwoman. She talked about taking a look at a variety of things, about taking a look at parks, taking a look at how the city spends money, and maybe realigning some of the priorities to better meet the needs of the residents.
So, la concejal Padilla ella se enfocó en varios temas, entre ellos el estacionamiento, etcétera, etcétera. What about you?
That's good.
¿Qué acerca de usted?
Yeah, I wanted to leave mine for last. And so I have come up with a 10-point jobs program.
Okay. Él puso el punto de 3 puntos de programas. Okay.
And really, it's trying to take a look at Oxnard 20, 30 years down the road. What kind of city do we want to see?
Ver la ciudad en los próximos 20 a 30 años. ¿Qué clase de ciudad queremos ver?
And that is intertwined with jobs and the kinds of jobs that we should attract to this community.
¿Qué clase de trabajos queremos tener aquí en nuestra comunidad?
And this is something I spoke about in the campaign, where I'm promoting new economy jobs. New economy jobs are in high technology, biotechnology, and medical research.
Está tratando de promover nuevas clases de trabajo en alta tecnología, entre otros.
And in those new economy jobs, like as an example, a biotech research company like Amgen in Thousand Oaks is an example of those companies. And those companies pay extraordinary salaries to their employees. And again, some people say, well, Mr. Flynn, we have a very diverse community, people of various educational levels, age levels, and things like that. How can those jobs meet the needs of the whole community? Well, at a company like Amgen, okay, people at the very, very bottom to the very, very top, they became multimillionaires because they got stock options in the company, and when that company and Amgen stock went through the roof, so did everybody who had those stock options.
So, habla justamente de un ejemplo de la compañía Amgen que está aquí en Thousand Oaks, que tienen sueldos muy bien pagados, y bueno, aquí también el punto es, para tener esa clase de trabajos, ¿qué clase de personal tenemos aquí con diferentes tipos de de educación. Go ahead.
And so we have to, the city has to do is position itself so that it can attract those new economy jobs. And the ideas that I have are taking a look at a joint use agreement with the naval base at Point Mugu for a regional airport.
Okay.
The second idea is extending the Ventura County Railroad that goes right into the port, and it goes to Fillmore, and it stops, extending that railroad from Fillmore all the way to Newhall and Saugus, and then that would connect with Interstate 5.
Okay, so those kind of ideas is possible in short period of time?
They're certain, well, short period of time is another question.
Yeah,
Are they possible? I think they're very possible. Are they likely in the next year? I would say not, but because these are major endeavors. So this is kind of starting from, the community as a whole. And finally, and let me say, and this is something that can happen more immediately, but it's also something that's going to take a long-term planning, is doing something about improving the schools in the city of Oxnard.
Está haciendo algo importante para mejorar las escuelas en la ciudad de Oxnard. Well, for this kind of ideas, they say in the school, there will be money available for this proposition. I guess with the school district, they will get a lot of money, as far as I know, right?
Well, here's what the thing is that we in the school district and the school districts, because there are a number of school districts in Oxnard.
Yeah.
There's the high school district, and separate from the high school district are all the elementary school districts, right? And all of those districts right now are in some form or fashion are pursuing these, what I would consider to be higher educational goals. And a lot of it is 21st century learning, which is taking what the future of jobs are going to be and making sure that what kids are learning now is going to be relevant to those future jobs.
So this kind of idea you have is in a short period of time, there is money available, there is the tools to do that?
Well, the 21st century learning skills and the 21st century possibilities, right? Those are things that are being implemented now within the Oxnard Union High School District in particular, where I'm employed full-time.
Yeah, algunos de esos proyectos se pueden implementar actualmente. De hecho, usted trabaja ahí. Okay, okay.
And the elementary school districts right now, the Oxnard Elementary School District is planning on building a magnet school out by the new Seabridge community, which is out towards the beach.
Okay, y en el caso de la escuela elemental, está pensando en construir una escuela grandísima en el área de Seabridge.
Right.
Es Victoria and Gully Road, I guess. En Victoria y Gully Road.
And then the emphasis there will be increasingly on math and science and research that's going to kind of produce the kids that then will go on to high school, and we're hoping that to get a magnet school in Oxnard. That's a real objective, is a magnet school for Oxnard.
So it's a good idea, right?
They're great ideas. I mean, it's one thing to say that it's a good idea. The other thing is how the schools can be paid for.
So in the last meeting you guys have, everybody proposed something. So from these all ideas, which one you guys will decide to do? De estas juntas, todo el mundo propuso algo de estas ideas, ¿cuáles serían las que se pueden hacer?
Well, tomorrow night, we're scheduled to have that conversation.
Yeah, you will have one day off. Well, actually...
No, tomorrow night, we have a special meeting.
A special meeting, yeah.
And that special meeting starts at 6 o'clock. And it's at the Oxnard City Council chambers, so I invite everybody to come.
It's in the same place?
Yes, in the Oxnard City Council chambers.
Okay.
And at 6 o'clock, we're going to discuss exactly what we talked about at the summit and how we're going to reduce those broader goals and objectives into time-certain, measurable result outcomes. So as opposed to just having broad ideas and not having those ideas go anywhere, what specifically would council members recommend, and what money would we like to spend to implement those goals? That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow night.
How you feel right now with your team? Let's say, because it's a team, it's not just mayor, it's everybody.
Yes.
Do you feel collaboration for them?
Well,
¿Cómo se siente su nuevo equipo? ¿Se siente con su equipo o no?
Well, it's a group of very talented people, and one could argue that they would not have been elected to their positions if they weren't talented people. And I think that they bring a real mix of ideas to the City Council. Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez had for many years been a lawyer and a housing rights advocate for tenant rights, and Councilman McDonald has extensive experience, obviously, in law enforcement, and Dorina Padilla works for Upward Bound, which is a program that goes after students who might not be considering college and really kind of instills in them the idea that they actually can go to college. When you put together that mixture of people, and my background, of course, is as a teacher and as a former salesman, so I used to be in business myself. When you put all that together, you have a real good mix, I think, a real healthy mix. And again, we might add that June 4th will be the election for the 5th council member.
En pocas palabras, lo que dice que todos los concejales actuales tienen diferentes antecedentes, diferentes carreras, diferentes ideas, pero creo que se puede llegar a un acuerdo. Y falta uno justamente en las próximas elecciones que va a llevarse a cabo el junio 4 para tomar posición de la vacante. The police department was here before in the program, and I guess it was Luis McCarthy. He was for the Oxnard Police Department. And the funny thing is, I don't know if the police scene they doing enough community communication with the people. Because here we got calls from our listeners, and they talk sometimes different kind of topics. Do you think it's probably the same situation with you guys, because you guys have meetings with, let's say, big projects, big ideas, compared to what the really people see on the streets? Le pregunto que estuvo aquí el departamento de policía, y yo no sé si el departamento de policía piensa que están haciendo suficiente comunicación con la ciudadanía, porque lo que dice la policía y lo que dice la ciudadanía es totalmente diferente. Y si ellos como concejales y administradores de la ciudad ven lo mismo. Go ahead.
Well, what people see on the streets are potholes in Oxnard, right? So they see that the roads aren't in good condition, and
the expectancy on those roads.
Yeah, they are, and so that is, among other things, all the council members, they had some things in common that we all talked about, and we all more or less said, look, this street problem really has to get resolved very quickly.
Yeah.
And so I hope the mission then tomorrow evening, among other things, is going to be to send a very clear message to the staff that, look, we can't wait 10, 15, and 20 years to repair these streets. We got to come up with a 5-year plan. Let's get these streets, and let's get the major arterial roadways. Let's get those done in the next year or two. And that's a lot of money. And speaking on that topic, we have a lot of public works projects that need to be pursued. The Public Works Department has estimated about $500 million over the next 10 to 20 years has to be spent just on public works projects. And by the way, that's going to generate a lot of jobs for a lot of people in the trades, and that's very important.
Porque lo que dice el alcalde es que justamente hay dinero para hacer esta clase de proyectos. Lo que la gente, en el caso, cuando los quieren ver que las calles se reparen, no va a tomar 20, 15 años, hay dinero para hacerlo y lo quieren hacer en un periodo corto. Okay, go ahead.
And so let's talk about, you talked about the police department, and could the police department be a lot better as say, community partners with the public? And I think there's no question, and I think the chief of police would say that also. And part of the plan that the city council adopted 5 or 6 years ago was in fact for a community policing program. What's happened in the city is that we had beats, our districts that the police department has, and so certain amount of patrol officers will be responsible for a beat. And one of the ideas several years ago that was envisioned by the police department is they want to narrow down the beats because the police officers had to cover too large of an area.
Yeah.
Narrow those beats down, and then in each beat they will have a beat officer. And the beat officer usually is a more senior ranking officer, could be a sergeant, could be above that. And those senior officers then will act as community liaisons to kind of proactively engage the public and deal more proactively with problems and issues. Right now, the avenue in which the police department most often communicates with the public is through the neighborhood council meetings. And right now, we don't have as many people that participate in that, so we have to find a way to get more people to participate.
Which is sad, right? I mean, people should get involved if they want to get response.
Absolutely. I mean, as my mom...
You say that, in, I guess, in the first interview.
Absolutely.
People need to get involved. Necesita participar la gente.
People need to get involved. My mom once said, and it still stands today, right? My mom's advice. You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution.
Si su mamá dijo, eres parte del problema o eres parte de la solución. Do we have right now a city manager, or is still pending the decision, final decision?
Well, I think that's another interesting question, and perhaps, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be, interesting a development where the previous city manager, Ed Sotelo, his contract ran out at the end of February. And then we've had an acting city manager, Karen Burnham.
Okay, and which is the man suing the city for $60,000 for legal fee defense. Am I correct?
Well, I think what she has made a request to do is she's asked for that money, and I don't know where that is right now, whether she asked for the money and the city council says, well, we should give her the money, and so I don't know exactly where that is right now. But this acting city manager then has been acting as the city manager since Mr. Sotelo was put on leave, on administrative leave. And so the city council, I had asked that this issue come up because now Mr. Sotelo's contract is over with. The city council needed to make a decision, what are we going to do? And the city council made a decision last week that we are intent on doing a search for a new city manager or for a permanent city manager, and that could include the current acting city manager. She would apply. I don't know if she will apply, but she would be able to apply, and then we'll see what happens in the next 6 months.
Well, thank you very much, Tamisor, because we have another guest, but I will suggest a city that you should be full-time job. I mean, mayor is not just easy to tell somebody do this. Probably you should do a manager position, because again, it's too many stuff to somebody handle, I would say.
Well, let's put it this way. Many people have talked about that. One of the gentlemen that pursued the mayor's position, and he's also running right now for city council, his name is Don Tebow. And Don Tebow actually suggested that. He's a former government teacher.
Yeah.
He said, the city has grown too large. It's over 200,000 people. And to have a part-time city council at this point,
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. Because other council members, including myself, we have to work a 40-hour week, maybe a 50-hour week, and then as mayor, it could be another 40-hour week.
Well, probably in the future, we never know.
We never know about that. Thank you very much for having me.
It was a pleasure. See you next time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Vamos a una pausa y regresamos.
Radio Fórmula, Oxnard, San